Hey there, it's me again. Today, a question. What happened when I took five of the absolute best AI models, gave them deep NBA and NHL stats, and had them debate between each other on game outcomes? Is it profitable? Can you do this yourself? Today, I'm going to answer those questions and more. And if you stick around to the end, I'll show you how you can access this incredible system or make it for yourself, absolutely free. But firstly, who am I? My name is Scott, and I've been working in the betting industry for over 25 years, for bookmakers, against bookmakers, and now I spend my time consulting, building AI tools, finding hidden edges, and doing this in all sports. Now, you can find these tools for free at bettingtools.ai, but today I'm going to take you through just one of them. And my view is that these tools can help all of us be better betters. So stick with me while I show you the magic. None of the fancy stuff, just the juice. And just a quick one before we go on. If you get anything at all out of this video, please subscribe to the channel below. It's totally free and you'll show me that you want to see more content just like this. And now, let's go. So how did this all begin? Now, a few weeks ago, I made a video showing you how to build an AI debate engine from scratch using Openclaw. Now, I'll link to that video below and you should go back and have a look at it if you've got any interest in this at all. Now, if you aren't using Openclaw or you don't know what it is, I do cover it pretty deeply in a couple of my previous videos, again, linking to them below. But just quickly, it's probably the first agentic AI tool that can take over your computer and make decisions and complete tasks without much oversight. Now, it talks to you on Telegram, Discord, WhatsApp, whatever message system that you want. And I'm a big believer in using tools like Openclaw, and there's a bunch of them starting to be released now to help you with your day-to-day life. But what I do here is I use it to assist with analyzing sports, finding bets, and even placing those bets. And I've done that in a few of my previous videos, and you can obviously catch them on my channel. Now, in that video of a few weeks ago, I gave you the steps and prompts to build a sports debate engine that brings in five of the best AI models and has them go head to head to convince each other that their position is correct. We use Claude Opus, ChatGPT 5.2, Kimi K 2.5, Quen 3.5, and Grok 4. And we also bring in things like stats and injuries, line movements. We give each of them live web access, and there's up to 5 debate rounds, okay? And so basically you've got 5 models, 5 rounds with 1 verdict. And at the end, there's either consensus or there's a split between them. And I'll show you how all of that works in a minute. So if you didn't build this yourself back when I did the video, and if you don't have this, I'll show you how it all works and you can make your decision on whether you build it or not yourself. For my version, I've called it the bettingtools.ai Great Minds Debate, and I see these AI models as great minds. When you give them enough context, they can come up with some amazing outcomes. But as we know, sports betting, predicting sport outcomes can be very difficult, and there's a lot of factors to take into account, okay? So if you wanted to build this yourself, any good vibe coding tool will do it. You can use Openclaw. I used Openclaw just to show you how it can be done on your own system and some of the benefits of being able to just create this through a messaging system like Telegram or something like that. But you can use something like Lovable. So all you would do is you just put your prompt in there. And I did give you the prompt in the last video. You can also use Bubble. So Bubble is very similar. It will create an app for you that can do the same thing. Or Replit. I do like Replit myself to do different things. But ultimately, I've used Openclaw to build this Great Minds debate. So let's have a look at exactly what the concept is. So here's the main page for the NBA games on a particular day, and this is from the 4th of March as an example. So you can see down to the left, you've got all your games, you've got the final scores, and then you've got the AI debate column down here. And basically this will show you how the AIs have come up with their results. So for example, in this Thunder Knicks game, you can see that the AIs have chosen 4 out of 5 have gone for the Thunder, 5 out of 5 have gone for the Knicks at +4, and then you've got 4 out of 5 have selected the under. And you can see each game has been done in that way. And then you've got results at the end, and then you've got your daily profit and loss summary. So this is just the way that I built it back in the in my first video that I did. Since then, I've made a few changes just because of the formatting and some other little issues that came up when I started testing this on a day-to-day basis. And that's going to happen with any model that you do. If you click on view here, and I've made this freely available to everyone at bettingtools.ai as well, if you wanted to go and take a look at it. But if you click view, you can see the debate that's gone on between the AI models down here. So you can see that Claude has basically come up with its 3 selections and given reasons why. And when I say 3 selections, we're going through the 3 different outcomes. So you've got your money line, your spread, and your totals, okay? And what it will do is each model will go through each one of those and give its reasons why it's made that selection. So you can see here, this is round 1 of the debate, and that's the independent analysis, and it will look at all of the different details and also look at web findings. So we'll go to the web and find the latest updates, injuries, etc. I've also used an API and I'm feeding it stats, real stats from previous matches and seasons. Okay, so it's basically up to date in terms of what it knows when it's running on these models. Okay, and so basically here you've got that every AI model thinks the Thunder is going to win. Okay, but then when you come to spreads, 3 out of 5 have gone the Knicks and 2 out of 5 have gone the Thunder. All right. And then with the totals, you've got 3 out of 5 and then 2 out of 5 gone the over. Okay, and then what it's also done is just said, what is your best bet? So basically the best bet for these 3 is the Knicks at +4. And then the best bet for these 2 is the Thunder at -4. Okay, and so what happens then is it will collate those from the first round, and then the moderator will sort of go through and then work out what each model has come up with. And then it will say, okay, it will then challenge the models. But also we have a devil's advocate. So I introduced a devil's advocate to basically come in and say, hey, what you guys are thinking may not be right. So that's basically going to challenge what all the other models are thinking. And what's happened here is Claude has basically gone in and said, okay, well, I'm changing my mind because I'm the devil's advocate, right? And then it basically comes up at the end of round 2, and then it says, well, it's going to go with the Knicks at +4, and then over 221.5. Right, so once you've gone on from there, you can see ChatGPT is maintained, Kimmy K 2.5 has maintained, Quen has changed its mind, and Grok has also changed its mind on a couple of the different factors. Okay, and so then it goes down into round 2 summary, and then the moderator will then sort of ask more questions and get them to continue the debate. The debate goes on. And then basically it goes to round 3, and the debate goes on again. It goes to round 4, and then there's a round 4 summary, and you end up with the end result down here. Basically, you've got 4 out of 5 have gone the Thunder to win. But then what's happened here is they now had consensus on the spread, and the spread with the Knicks at +4. So that spread is important because I'll take you through later why that's important and how that works. But then you've also got the total. So basically they're one off on the total as well. It's 4 out of 5 have gone the total. And so in the end, up here, you can see the result was quite fortuitous in this regard. Obviously, you've got Thunder 1, you got the Knicks at +4, and that was the 5 out of 5. Okay, and so each match is debated like this, and then at the end of the day, we're going to work out if this is a profitable strategy or not, or if it works. Now, on paper, it makes sense, but obviously, you know, there's different factors, and the models are all looking at different things, and each model is trained on certain data sets. Okay, and these are publicly available frontier LLM models that anyone can use, but it's all about the context that you feed to it as well. So they're all getting the same context, and at the end of the day, this is what comes out from it. Now, as you can see on this particular day, it was a profitable day, and the way it's been split out here is just to say, okay, well, of the 5 out of 5 consensus, 80% were correct, so 8 wins, 2 losses for 330 units in profit. It's just looking at $100 per unit. And then you've got your 4 out of 5 consensus was also profitable, and your 3 out of 5 consensus, which is not always the way, but that was also 2 out of 2 were correct in that regard. So that all makes sense, but then you can then break it down and say, okay, well, how did the money lines go? Well, at the money line, even though it was 75% correct, obviously, you know, taking all the favorites a lot of the time, so you're looking at a loss on that, but the spread was quite profitable, and I assume so was the total at the 5 out of 5 range there. So in a nutshell, that's how the debate works. Now, the learnings of the first couple of weeks of doing this is that, well, first of all, you're not doing any deep statistical analysis, okay? So I've done a lot of deep statistical analysis with regression models and all sorts of different models. Obviously, we're just asking the AI to use its reasoning to say, okay, based on all the factors that you know and all the factors that you know about NBA, come up with your best reasoning response on what the money line, spread, and total winners will be. So there's a couple of limitations with doing this, obviously. So let's have a quick look at what those limitations are, and then I'll take you through the results, right? So let's just run through the reality of the first 10 days and just see what the limitations are and see how this has been improved in case you want to do this for yourself or just follow along with the results. So firstly, obviously it's 10 days, not enough data. So there's a few bugs, a few things have had to be fixed. And so yeah, not enough data coming through in the first 10 days. Obviously you need a much bigger sample size to say if something's going to work or not over the long term. Second limitation is the short price moneyline favorites. So obviously if you're using reasoning to work this out or even statistical models, most of the time it's going to come up with the short price favorite as being the potential winner. Okay. And when you've got 5 models debating that, then it's normally going to come up with 5 out of 5 short price favorites. All right. So based on that, I'd probably discount money lines from the results, but let's have a look at how it pans out on the long term, because it's going to be very rare that an underdog is going to get a 5 out of 5 consensus from the models, okay? Which is probably why we need to look closer at the spreads and the totals. And that's what we've got here. It's likely where the real edge lives in this, so we're going to obviously watch that moving forward. And obviously, if you're betting or you're asking it to look at every single market, it does take away from the overall. So being more targeted and precise is possibly a way to go, but ultimately we're asking it to have a fresh look at every single game as it moves forward. So the other thing that I implemented was NHL. So I implemented ice hockey also around the same time, just around 10 days ago. And you can see here, these are current live games. But if we just look back at some previous days, you can see it basically does the same thing on the money line, the spreads, and the totals. And the other thing that I haven't mentioned yet is I've also put in decimal and American odds conversion. You can also add in fractional or percentages as well, just to make it easy. So those of my friends that aren't used to American odds, you can obviously choose decimal. If you're in the US and used to your American lines, then you can choose American. Okay, so we'll just stick it on decimal now for the time being. And so as you can see here, these are the live games that we have in the NHL coming through at the moment, and nothing's been graded just yet. So all these games are in action at the moment. The other thing I've added is college basketball. Now this one's a tough one because there's a lot of games on at the moment and a lot of hidden form and just unknowns, and that is what the AIs are dealing with. So possibly something like this is not going to be the best way to run this, but we'll have a look at the numbers either way. So as you can see here, we've got 3 5 out of 5s on this current live game that's almost over, and it looks like it's all 3 are going to get up at this stage. So it's interesting just to get some more data, and as we move into March Madness, which just stay tuned, there's a video coming up for that, we'll see how this performs as well, but I'll keep running it, and you can access the results for free at this stage. So heading over to the results and just the historical results, I've just done some tables here. So as you can see that just on NBA in the past 10 days, basically got out of all of the 5 out of 5 consensus picks, 74% have come in. Now again, a lot of those are going to be money lines, and I'll take you through each of those now. But you can see the 7.8% ROI. So again, a lot more data needs to come in before we look at this, but let's have a quick look. So if you go money lines, you can see 83% were correct, and quite a bit of that actual profit has come in. So 38 wins, 8 losses. But again, it's probably selecting all of the favorites, okay, with that. Now, if you look at the spread, obviously it's a lower percentage, but 63% on a coin flip spread situation is not bad. And at 20.2% ROI. But interestingly, the past 10 days, there's only been 5 wins, 3 losses. So 8 picks in the past 10 days on the 5 out of 5 consensus spread. But that's fine. When it's a consensus, it's running at 63%. I think we'll be happy long term. So that's something to keep an eye on. And then you've got your totals here. So the total's a bit lower, 53%, and it's only just eking out a very small profit. Again, 8 wins, 7 losses. So, a lot more data needs to come in regards to that. So that's the NBA in the last 10 days. So that's NBA. We'll have a quick look at the ice hockey. So here again, you've got your 5 out of 5 consensus, 73%. I think NBA was 74. So similar numbers actually here. You've got your 33 wins, 12 losses out of 45 consensus picks. Now we won't look at the 4 out of 5 and 3 out of 5. Let's just look at the 5 out of 5 consensus. So you've got your money lines here. So money line is only just making a small loss at 62% correct. But as I said, probably the spreads and the totals are going to be the way to go, or just to keep an eye on. And interestingly here, with 16 wins, 3 losses out of 19 picks on the spreads. So that's an interesting stat, and you've got 20% ROI. Again, very small numbers, I caution you, but worth keeping an eye on for sure. And then the totals looking even better with only 5 picks, 4 wins, 1 loss. Okay. Again, there's not much data to go on, but it's worth keeping an eye on. So ultimately, out of the last 10 days that this has been running, you can see NBA and NHL have been going pretty well. Now, I think I know the answer if we look at the college basketball. There's a hell of a lot more games and a hell of a lot more for the AIs to get through, and probably a lot less data for them to actually have access to, because if you're going down to the lower level games, it makes it a lot more difficult to get that data. Okay, this is obviously available for everyone to see. If you look specifically at the 5 out of 5 consensus, it's running at 65% overall, and I think the big part of that is going to be the money lines, because a lot of the time you get a lot more upsets this time of year in college basketball. Okay, so 72% on the money line, but obviously a lot of the big heavy favorites have lost, and that's going to cause quite a big heavy loss in terms of the ROI. On the spread side, interestingly, it's done okay with spreads, and it's got 9.6% ROI on the spreads, 31 wins, 23 losses out of 54 picks. And then the totals, it has not done so well on the totals. But interestingly, the spreads are showing a profit. That's an interesting scenario. And ultimately, you can see here the past 10 days since we started this. So actually, if I've done all sports spreads at the 5 out of 5 consensus, we've got 51 wins, 29 losses out of 80 picks. And we're looking at a 12.1% ROI on that specific outcome. So now, how can you run this yourself? Now, as I said, if you saw my earlier video, you'll know how easy it is. Just a simple prompt, a couple of API keys, and a vibe coding tool. Now, that's all it takes, or you can do it locally using something like Openclaw. Now, the core debate engine is about maybe 20 minutes of work. And if you use something like Replit or Lovable or Openclaw, it doesn't take too long. Now, the P&L tracking and stats dashboard on top, now that's where the real work is, and that's where you really find your edges. But if you build this yourself, you can build it with Openclaw or a vibe coding tool. You can host it anywhere that you want, even run it on your own machine. And then there's a cost. Now, there is a small cost if you're running this yourself. The AI models do cost money. And the better the AI model, the more it will cost, because you're using the API keys for those, okay? So the other way to do it is you can actually use almost or totally free models inside of the debate engine. And you can actually try different ones and see how it works. Once you have control of this, you can actually do anything that you want with it. So in summary, and just a reminder firstly, everything I've said today is not financial advice, obviously. If you're looking at this and sports betting as a way to make money, sure, it's very possible. You need to be disciplined and you need a lot of data. And that's what I've said constantly today, is what I've shown you here today needs a lot more data. But as we go forward, and we'll add more sports and we'll see how it looks. But in summary, you can build this yourself, or you can just use mine for the time being. I've shown you how to build it yourself, or you can visit bettingtools.ai. There's a link below to that. And you can currently see the outputs and get the selections before the matches. And it's currently free just while we're doing some testing on it. Now, possibly won't always be free because it does cost a bit to run this. So we'll see what happens. But for the time being, if you can drop a like below on this video and click subscribe so that you can get the next one, that's a great way to support this, and I can keep this free for longer. Okay? So if you want more like this, just make sure you click like and subscribe, as I said. And that's it for today. I hope you've learned something. Let's get out there and crush those bookies. Keep winning, and I'll see you in the next one.